Yeah, 7,000.
Yeah, and then engine hours.
Oh, engine oil.
Yeah, up here, 2,091. So after 250, then you again change your filter. Okay, so at the front, so it's a surge brake. As you have it hooked to the truck, there's a brake booster in there that surges. There's actually brake fluid in there, and that applies the brake. And just get the inertia of the pump trying to hit the truck, yeah, it increases the brake. There's a breakaway cable. If it should leave the truck, you would engage the brake and pull it. And in theory, you would stay in the road and not going to oncoming traffic. Pretty tragedy. You're working with somebody else. The chains are designed for 10,000 pounds. Exceed the weight of the pump, so you would cross them and put them on your truck. And that way, if it fell off, you'd rest on the chains. If it digs on the ground, it might potentially flip you over too. Because there's an old concept of the trailer staying with the truck. You want the truck and the trailer to break away. Because if that tongue gets up under you and shoves you, you know what I mean? What happens is you'll slam on your brake, the pump will get under you and lift you up and then flip you over. Okay. The truck, you beating the truck. You want to get away from it. I know there's an old misconception. People are like, oh no, you got to stay with it. No, get away from that thing.
So if something goes wrong, just
sure. Not always. We had one. I was in one. One blew a tire, and it flipped the pump over. It didn't turn me over, but man, it ripped my bed off my truck. So tools went flying everywhere. Man, it was a fucking disaster.
So the flatbed is better. I'll be on island, so you don't go more than 40 miles an hour.
Oh, that's not consideration. Yeah, this is at 70. 40? Well, I mean, how good are the roads?
They're pretty good.
What country?
Oh, it's Nantucket Island, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Rich people island.
Ah. Well,
rich and poor too.
Rich and poor.
either got real rich or real poor, right? That's it. Yeah, it's better to cross them, and that way, you know, it keeps it from digging in. And if it, God willing, it breaks away, you know, let it get away from it. This is a stabilizing jack here. This is if it's stored long term. You'd put on this. If you're lifting up from truck to truck, you turn that over, wind it up, wind it down, put it on the truck, stow it away. This is always in the position. This is if you left it on the job somewhere. You'd use the front and the rear. Okay. And in the front, you would wind it all the way down, set the back, wind it all the way up until you got the tension off the tires, and then you set the front.
So you do the side.
So you flip this down.
Yeah. You do this side first, then do the back, and then do the front.
Yeah. Wind it all the way up, set the front, wind it back down, and then sew it away, and then now it's sitting on the axle. I mean, on the outrigger. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll take the tension off. Now you can put a piece of wood under each outrigger, lift it up, and jack it up so you can take a tire off if you want. If you left it on the job. I've seen a lot of guys do that. Like a motor mixer?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you got the engine here. On the LS600, a little bit bigger than the 450. You got fuel on one side, separator, and then you got oil and fuel on the other side. Air filter here. There's a canister here, and an inspection hole on the other side. You can't take the air filter out. It's out here.
Canister for
the air filter.
Okay.
It's around. Got a clip, spin it, pops off, and then the whole canister comes out. You can cross these over to Napa numbers. However, you know, we put them back into Perkins as a manufacturer. Okay. So it's up to you. Those numbers do cross over.
Okay.
Now in a new application, if this thing's been new and something happened, you need to put the factory on, because if you take it back for warranty, they'll avoid your warranty. So then at 250 engine hours, you change the air filter, the belt, the fuel, the oil, and then you have a hydraulic filter here. You change it 250 engine hours.
Engine hours, okay.
Yeah, and that's a 10W30, or we use a Tier 4 Rotilla, and that's a full synthetic. Now you can use whatever you want, but that's what the manufacturer calls it will be. So every 250. That oil here, the hydraulic fluid here in this tank, is an AW46. and anywhere 46. Now you can use 68, however you have to take the whole thing out and then put the 68 back in. You can't really mix the fluids because one's viscosity is higher than the other. So one will sink and the other one will rise. Right now it's 46 in there. Because the tank gets hot and cold, there is condensation that happens in the tank. So there's a low point. All the tanks are shaped at a V, and then in a neutral position, means the pump is in a level position. Here's the core term valve here. And there's a daily, weekly, and monthly inspection. There's even a yearly inspection. This is under the weekly inspection. You drain a little bit off. Auto lower bed that. Real quick. And they'll let the condensation out of the tank from getting hot and cold.
Every day you use it, or like
Once a week.
once a week.
And then there's one at the fuel tank here. There's two fuel tanks, one on either side. This part is the fuel tank. And a monthly inspection, there's a low point there too that you have to work on.
Okay.
And this would be in the morning, so pump level. In the morning. Not when it's hot or after you get back from the job or nothing like that, because the water is warm and it's emulsified in the oil.
So when it seeps down over the night, it kind of
Separates. Yeah. So this would be in the morning, level. So working into the back, you got your main drive, and then your throttle here. I know it says throttle control, but actually it's a volume control, and that slows or speeds up the pistons, not the engine, but the working pressure of the pistons. So electronically, this does it. There's a lot of models that do it mechanically, right? This one does it electronically here, and then this is the functions here: volume, decrease or increase. It does keep its memory as long as the computer is running. So if you turn it off for a second or 5 minutes or an hour, come back and turn it back on, it will remember the last position you left it. However, you turn the engine off, it will not. It erases it.
Okay.
And then you must. So it always, the default is when you turn this on, it's always in a low setting, and you bring it up to keep you from hurting somebody or yourself. You turn it on, it's wide ass open, boom, it blows the guy off the wall.
Yeah.
So working on back from that, so you got your main drive piston, your pump, and then you got a Barnes pump, which is the gear-driven pump. And then one, it's a dual Barnes. So one, the first one that you see the split in the center. The first one you see, all that does is take this oil out, put it through the filter, through the cooler, and back to the tank at 31 liters a minute. The second one runs your agitator. And then here's your auxiliary downside relief here. Because on a gear pump, there is a zero replacement. It moves oil regardless where it goes. So if you plug them two lines off, if you plug the main drive pump off, you plug it up, the pump will see it doesn't need any pressure, it goes to zero because it's internally regulated. This has no regulator, or Barnes doesn't. A gear pump, I should say, it has to have an external regulator somewhere. So that's what you're seeing this regulator for. This is just a test port, and there's about 50 of them. And it's just for me to find out where you're missing pressure at, or if it's not set correctly. Here is, as you can see, a push-pull for your agitator here inside the hopper, a remixer. So you got in operating, you got neutral, and then you got in reverse.
Got it.
In a wet load application, it doesn't really matter because they're really not that big. In a dry load, however, shotcrete is a big consideration. It'll actually pull concrete away from the drive cylinder.
So it should be in reverse, or
it should be in the operating position all the way up, and that way it's always going into
when it's dry application.
Dry application. When it's wet, 8-inch slump, 7-inch slump, no, has no bearing. Has not. And you got the reverse. Normally they'd be set up as just a one-way operating, but if you had to wait for a truck or something got a little sticky, you could mix it up in the hot a little bit. There you go. If you see something else in there, best thing is turn it off and try to get it out because it's going to go in your reducer and it's going to go somewhere. If you can, stop, forward, reverse, try to chew on it a little bit.
But it shouldn't drop through the...
Well, in theory, okay, so the grate will accept 1.5 rock.
Okay.
If you put 2-inch downstream, an 1.5 is too big. Because an 1.5 is 3 inch. You can't go through 2-inch hose. So you would have to put another grate on top of this if you're going through 2-inch. Okay. I use, you see that chicken wire there? That thick chicken wire?
Yeah.
I just cut it in squares, lay it over top, pump, and then I take it off and put it in my truck.
So what size of chicken wire?
This thread right here. If you get 3/4 by 3/4 squares, perfect. Perfect. A lot of guys weld another bars over here, but then when you get 1.5 inches, then what do you do? Now you have a break. You know, it's better just to lay it on top, take it off, put it in your truck, leave it at home, whatever. It's going to 2 inch. Are you running through 2 inch, 2.5?
We'll see, you know.
You don't know yet.
What are you getting? Like 3 inches, right? Or 2 inches?
2 inches.
Oh, 2 inches then.
So I'd put another grate on top, and then it'll cut down on your plug ups in the reducer. Because you know, a lot of trucks have buildup. You know, they hit bumps or whatever. You know, coming to you, and then now it falls in the concrete mix, and it comes out the chute, and boom. You know, it's this wide, but it's flat. It's on the grate.
Okay.
You know, and then you know a lot of times the agitator will bust some of it up, and then the swinging of the S tube busts some of it up, and then you got pieces this big. Well, you're gonna reduce it go down to 2 inch, and then boom. Plug you up. And usually those are always at the reducer. You put it in reverse, get the pressure off of it, take the first reducer off, and you'll see it. Oh, shit. You know he's contaminated. It's best just to have a nice screen to lay in there. You don't have all that problem. You know, you don't have that problem. There's nothing more aggravating than having off and do this. Because let me tell you, 40 years of me messing with concrete, that's what your hands are going to look like. So concrete's volatile, really volatile. They still don't know what it does to you. So I can tell you what it's done to me, but I can't tell you what it's going to do to you. So that hydraulic fluid, there's no antidote. So if you see a leak, go put your hand over it. Stop it and try to find out why. Don't let that, if that hydraulic fluid goes under your skin, they give you a poison control number, but they want you to monitor yourself. Tell me when you die, because they don't really know. There's no known cure. So be careful about that. If there's a leak, and put your hand on it. I know a lot of guys have sacrificed themselves, you know, not thinking about it, but every sticker you see has ended in a fatality, so keep that in mind. When I started with the company, we had 4, maybe 5 stickers. When I left, there were 86 stickers. Every one of them ended in a fatality, ended in tragedy. Be fair warned, if you're going to work on something, always verify 0 here on the gauges. So there's no working pressure. That's a big concern for you, big concern. There was a guy in Miami, and they had called me, and there's a rock in the water box. I don't know, for whatever reason, he did 30, 40 yards, and he just couldn't stand it. He reached his hand in there and grabbed it, and it cut 3 of his fingers off, right instantly, boom. They called an ambulance. They drove him. I remember when Ford was having that problem with a 6.0, the ambulance broke down. He bled to death in the ambulance. Died. So it happened just that quick. You know, it's something that because you're going to work with it every day, you lose respect for the machine. It will cut you bad. I mean, you'll be lucky if it just cuts 3 of your fingers off. That's the only guy I ever known that just usually pulls you right on in. Usually does. So everything I said is 200 bar, 5,500 psi. It doesn't stop. These right here are not cut. I mean, saw marks. These are cut. My end test is I cut one of these in half. Those ends that you see, those are not saw marks, they're cut marks. And that's like that. And that's over. Cuts it like nothing. If it cuts it and the machine don't bog down, I know I'm close. Then I'll put my gauges on there and fine tune it. If it bogs down real bad, then I know manually I can you know, I don't need my gauges yet. You know what I mean? So that's my test. Keep that in mind. You know what I mean? No farther than about 2 inches in the. When you're putting the hose and you're washing out, no farther than that. I know you see
no more than 2 inches.
Yeah, with your hand.
When you're washing out. If the machine's moving, it's too easy to turn it off. Do what you got to do. Turn the machine back on. Takes a second. You're gonna, you know, after about 2 years, you're gonna think, it moves real slow. Boom, boom, boom. And about then, you're gonna stick your hand in there and there'll be it. So, big consideration. Keep that in mind. You get into a good practice. I see a lot of guys get trained by bad operators, and they got a bad practice. You can't get it out of them. If you look at your check sheet, okay, so take for instance, when I get done washing, I asked the guy, you know, how many. I don't want to go too far ahead, but you know, I know the hopper holds the wheelbarrow of concrete. I know 200 feet of 2 inch holds another wheelbarrow of concrete. So when I get down to 2 wheelbarrows, I'll tell the finisher, hey man, let me know. And when you get 2 wheelbarrows, then I'll cut it off. Oh, pump man, that's it. I'll put the hood down and I'll pump the hopper down until it stops. You need another wheelbarrow? I need a wheelbarrow and a half. I'll put another half a hopper in there, pump that down, close the lid, pump it out. Yeah, I need about 3/4 of a wheelbarrow. Open it up, I'll throw the water in there. I'll I'll fill it all the way with water and then turn the machine on and pump it out. If you pump it in its form, when he gets enough, he throws it outside, boom, I'm washing it out now. The water is pushed in now out. I put another hopper in there, wash it out one more time, let the reducer loose, wash the ass end out, the hopper, take the reducer off, put it in the ass end, put it reverse, make sure the S tube's clean. I put it back together, I put the ball, a sponge ball in there, and now I get another hopper full of water, and I push that out. Now the hose is replaced, I'm done. I flip the reducer off, I flip the reducer up, now it's the fourth, I'm filling the hopper up. This is to wash my hands, my clamp, hoses, whatever I need. Now I'm greasing. I drop that, I check the water box, one piston good, boom, I close it back up, I turn the machine off, I put the remote in the cab. Now I grab the end hose first, I wash it up, put that in the truck. Because that end hose might be your first hose on another job, you understand? So you always clean your ends up. That's all the clamps, they're accounted for, I throw them on there. I pull my water hose up, I put it in the hopper because it's got water in the hopper. I wash my water hose, fill that up, wash my hands, wash my face, wash my ass, whatever. Hit the trap door, wash my feet. I get my ticket sign, I'm gone. Now, when you do that add a step, you know what I mean? If you get into a good practice, it's really boom, boom, boom. Now you cover the whole machine. You grease, you check the bolts, you check the oil, you check the hydraulic fluid, the machine's good. You got into a good practice. If you get out and you wait to say, well, I'll grease it when I get home. Well, then the grout now got hard in the hopper, and now you can't push it out. So you got into a bad practice and it multiplies, you know, real quick. So if you look at your daily, your weekly, your monthly, and your yearly inspection, you can get a pretty much practice of how you're going to clean the machine out, real quick. You know, let somebody else that's been doing 10 years to design the machine, and they'll tell you how to clean out the practice. You know, it makes it easy for you. You get into a good practice every day, you don't miss anything. You know, you walk by the machine and you're looking at something, you're not just going there and looking at the machine and turning the switch off and then going back there and talking to the guy. You're looking more than the switch, you know? What's the hopper doing? Where's the agitator going? When you look at my piston, tire flash, you know, you're looking at more than just, you know, you're looking at the bottom switch. You get a good practice, nothing gets like it, nothing. You know every inch of the machine always. Your eyes are always scanning. So just, you know, just get into a good practice. So moving on from there, we talked about your agitator. This is just a leveling gauge here for the hydraulic fluid. Black being the highest, the maximum, and red being the lowest here. In the center is a thermometer, and it just gives you a visual indication. The machine will tell you the degrees of it, but you can't get a visual on here. When you get down to about the 160 to the red, to black is about 5 gallons. So when you get down to about 160, I think about getting it filled back up. Okay. That's about a 5 gallon bucket. Now, bulk oil or hydraulic fluid is actually dirty, and you actually hurt the machine more than you think by adding oil. We filter from the tanker to our holding tank, and then from our holding tank to the machine. So we filter twice through 5 microns. So you can't breathe through 5 microns, you know. So bulk oil is dirty. If you take a 5 gallon bucket of hydraulic fluid, dump in there, and look at the bottom of it, it's black. So I guess my theory is, if you see a small leak, get it fixed. Don't keep adding oil. You know, I know a lot of old guys say, hydraulic fluid is cheap. I'll just keep adding oil when I get back to the shop. No, you need to fix the leak. Get it stopped. Because remember, this machine's always cleaned itself all day, every day. Every time you got it running, it's clean. It's clean. You add a dirty oil, that hurts you. The machine's always cleaning constantly. All that small pump, as we discussed earlier, if that pump sucks it out, push it through the filter, through the cooler, back to the tank. It's 31 liters a minute. So in an hour, it cleans the whole tank. So every hour that thing's running, every hour, half hour it's out there idling, it's always clean. So when you dump bulk oil, dirty oil into it, now it's got to take that much more to clean it. So the tank's already been cleaned. About once a year, you should clean it and scrub it down. It's not real hard. You just get a holding tank, a 55 gallon drum, pump it from one to another, clean the tank out, change the filter. We scrub it down, brake clean, and then we vacuum it out. And it gets all the sediment out of the bottom. Put the top back on, filter it back in, and that's it. That's once a year. In theory, AW46 should give you about 4,600 hours of use, in theory. As long as you didn't get it hot or do something monkey to it, like not clean the water out or whatever, it should last for the 4,000 hours. You should get it.
So what is the current temperature?
Normal operating is about 1 to about 120. That's normal. You start getting into the 600, you need to find out why. Either the fan isn't working, when you turn it on you can hear it. The fan isn't working, or the pump's out of sync. Something's wrong.
Okay.
You need to call up to them to figure out what's wrong. But if you get that high.
Give me 1 second to swim.
There's a 4-inch skip hose, 6 foot long, and it went into a vacuum in it. And there was rollers that squeezed it like toothpaste. Man, they were good, but you got the wrong rock in there. Oh boy, it was bad. Man, I cried. I was 16, man. I had raspberries all over me. Oh man. you got concrete on your shoulder and you keep rubbing it, the lime will go into your skin, and man, it burns all night. Your skin's on fire. And that was my first day. So, and then another company bought my dad out, so I stayed with him, and they said, "We'll send you to school." So showing school, I don't know, I was probably 22, 23. And you work with them for about 4 weeks, and then you come back and you work for us. Well, I went up there and never came back. They said, "Listen, they called the company that sent me up there. We're going to keep them." This was Schwing. So we got a place for them. We need them in our facility. So that didn't last. I was a traveling tech. You got to get, you get pigeonholed in something that you're good at. So if you're good at problem solving, why be in the factory? Problem solving doesn't jump somewhere. So my area was from Florida to New York.
So you was on the job site. And all these chemical burns are from the vacuum country?
Yeah. So my job was, you bought a $1.2 million pump and you used it for a week and it broke down. It'll go and fix it. So it would be either full of concrete still, or it'd be pumping concrete, whatever. So that was my job, from Florida to New York. So I lived out of a suitcase for 19 years. My kids have gone to 8 different schools. Rockford, Illinois, Indiana, Pennsylvania,
Harold,
DC.
I have 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I'm sorry, man.
So inside, so you got your differential rods here that actually push the concrete. There's a rubber diaphragm cup. So it sucks in concrete one end and it's pushing the other way. So you have a rubber diaphragm cup. If you open this hatch up, go to the other side. And this is for lubrication and cooling. Yeah.
It's a little soup. That's chicken soup right there.
So that would be an SAE 30, cheap oil. An SAE 30. Just cheap oil. You don't put nothing expensive in there. And that cools and lubricates those rubber cups that's going back and forth.
So you just add oil every day?
No.
Day, you're just checking every day. In theory, you shouldn't lose any oil. After about 6 or 7 months, you'll start to lose a little bit, and then it'll start getting wider and wider, and when it turns gray, boom, you hit that black lever here, and that dumps the oil. Put a pan on there, dump it, distribute it properly, and add some more oil. When it does to you the second time, then the piston cups, the rubber cups that are the diaphragm, they need to be changed out. Here that you're seeing these black wires here, these are proximity switches. So the computer knows when that piston comes all the way down, the S tube needs to be all the way over. And then when that piston comes all the way down, this S tube needs to be over. And it's a reverse on the reverse direction. So that just indicates where the computer should be at the time of interchange. So that's what the proximity switches do.
And what is it, jug A, jug B?
Okay, once we finish, I'll go to the computer part last of it. Now we talked about greasing. That's a big consideration. Big consideration. Here, you got 3 here, and you got 3 up front. So you got the back bearing or outlet bearing and the inlet bearing, front bearing. Here, 3 spots. Yep, 1, 2, and then at the bottom 3.
Around that circle.
And then just like the warning stickers indicate, every 2 hours, or at the end of the job. So if you do 20 yards, when I leave the job, I grease. That squirts the liquid grout or concrete back out of the cylinder or out of the bearing into the hopper.
Let me close out water.
It never gets hard then. That way you can roll back to the top, and then it gets hard, and the bearing I lose the bearing.
Just with the greasing gun?
With the greasing gun, correct. And I'll give you some grease that I want you to use. So it's a little bit, it's made for a pump. It's a little expensive, however, it gives you your most value. They're about $6.74 a tube versus $1.99. You know, this is the cheap stuff again. This will get your most wear. So this is at every 2 hours on the job pumping, or at the end of the job, correct? When you leave.
6, 3 here, 3 there, right?
Correct. And there's actually 2 more in here, but you do that on a monthly inspection. And that's for your axles on your bearings on your axles. So, we talked about the differential cylinders that concrete goes in. There's an S tube, or switch over S tube, you know what I mean? It goes from one hole to the next hole. One hole to the next hole. So it's one sucking, one's pushing. One's sucking, one's pushing, always. And the S tube orientates which direction you want to go. If this one's pushing, it's in this hole, and now you're going forward. It switches over, now it's in this hole, you're going forward. In reverse, it'd just be opposite. You pull in concrete, now it's in that hole, and it's sucking. If you got something in the reducer, a lot of times I'll put it in reverse, suck it back about 4 times. Potentially it'll suck back into the hopper, you can chew it up, and then spit it back out. If it doesn't do anything, then I stop, put it in reverse, relieve the pressure, and then manually get it out. Sometimes it drives so hard in the reducer it won't come out. I mean, you have to beat it up with a hammer. Because there is, 5,000 PSI. It's a lot of pressure. And then we talked about the outriggers already. Anything on the basic operation of the machine so far? Got the fuel, lights, tires, greasing up the tires once a month. So you call Juan and Juan give you a PBF. You can stick it here, or there'll probably be already a PBF in here.
Okay.
So either way, you can get it digitally, and Juan can send it to you, and you can have it back up there. And that'll give you your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly inspection. Any questions so far? No. So the 2 hatches you see, just inspection for me to get in. Same with the fuel. There's 2 inspection hatches. You do have 2 fuel tanks. They're 20 gallons apiece. One's here and one's on the other side. They are connecting, but however, it's through a 3/4 line, so it is kind of slow. So you fill this one all the way up, and that one's half full. By the time you get back to your shop, they'll be 3/4 of it.
Okay.
So it's better just to fill this one up, go around, fill the other side up, fill your truck up, boom, put them on, go. Because it will equal out eventually. However, you'll have this one full and that one's half. You get 3/4 of the both tanks. So you can keep that in mind.
And how long time takes to go through?
Usually on the average, if it's a say it's an 8-inch slump, you're doing fill cell, block fill cell. Usually that lasts you about 160 yards of fill cell, between 40 gallons. Now, however, you got a 3-inch slump and you're going through 3-inch hose, and of course, no, you're not going to get 160. You might be 100, 105. It's hard to say. Depends on how much the engine's being drawn down.
So smaller hose, it takes more energy, right? Pumps.
Smaller rock, less energy. Less energy. They roll like ball bearings through the hose. Bigger rock is bigger inertia to run it through, so it requires probably, on the basis, more fuel.
So for the shotcrete obligation,
you probably get about 100 yards because they're really dry. It's a lot of oomph. You'll know it because you'll hear the motor really whoa all day long. You're gonna get about 100 yards. If you hear the ears, you just hum and purr all day long, at 160 easily.
okay.
There's a fill tube on here, and then you can check the oil here on the stem. Yeah.
And so where is the engine oil? Where do you add it?
You take the inspection hatch off, and then you put a little funnel in here. Right there.
So that's a pretty new engine, right?
Yeah. There's not many hours on it. 1 minute.
And
the guy.
Starter, right? Or
What's that?
starter is
This is the starter.
Yeah, starter.
new.
Yeah. The engine's fairly new. The guy used it I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times, and then just sat in his garage for a while, and then he offers to us about it. So there's not many pump hours on it. There is an ID code here, and on the other side on the tower there's another. So if you want to order a part, you must give me this ID number.
Okay.
This correlates to the build sheet or what's on your unit, because they make 100 different styles. Manual flow control, this, that, and the other. They make 4 different models of the engine size.
7 minutes left.
Okay, so going on. So any more questions about the mechanics of it before we go on to the display? You can take up. Okay. So accumulator. I don't know if you're familiar with accumulator on a loader or. So accumulator is cheap power. It's a way for me to build a lot of energy on a less pay scale platform. With the accumulator, I can get a small pump that it can turn 200 bar. However, it's more efficient at 100. That's the specs. So I can get a 100 bar pump and 100 bar of dry nitrogen put them together, and that's 200 bar. Cheap power. There's some drawbacks. One of them being if the gas leaves that bottle, the pump tries to accommodate the 200 bar, and you burn the pump up too. So there's some drawbacks. You're going to be checking this on a monthly inspection, checking for the gas inside there.
It's hydrogen?
Nitrogen.
Oh, nitrogen.
Nitrogen, yeah, dry nitrogen. An inert gas. So, so that's something to look forward to on your monthly inspection.
So how do you check the pressure, the gas pressure?
So I'm going to turn it on. You're going to see a point where the needle starts falling and it's going to snap off. So you snap off and turn on 265? Yeah, that's where you want to stay. That's the spec for it. Between 65 and I think it's 78 for a Mayco.
So if it slows down all the way down,
And then drops, that means it's low.
It's
low or
low.
no. Yeah. So then you got to
should
call us
be-
and we need to figure out why. Either the bladder has gone bad because there's a rubber diaphragm in there, like a bag, like a big balloon, real thick balloon. So we take the balloon out, or we find out what's going on. The forward reversing valve is bad or something, kicking it off. So that would be on a monthly inspection. So you understand the good practice. You're checking this every day, and then pretty soon your monthly inspection you're doing every day. You just don't know it. Getting on to a good practice. So this is stored energy. So this is a big concern as far as you putting your hands in there, because remember, it's
like loaded.
It's loaded, right, and it's waiting for a trigger to happen. So whether your hand's in it or not, it can get a trigger and fire off, and meaning firing off, switching over with your hand in it. Boom, take your fingers right off, hand right off, arm off, whatever. So there is stored energy. So you always verify that the both gauges are 0 before you do anything to the machine. Concrete pressure is the main pressure on the head of the piston as it's pushing the concrete, not 20 miles down the road or 50 feet down the stream. This is at the head of the piston where it's actually pushing at. So it starts dropping drastically as you start getting out there. If you got 200 feet of 2-inch at an 8-inch slump, you might only have about 900 psi out there at the tip. But here, there's 2,500 down. So that's what that is. So when I get a plug, the machine's going to pressure out. You're going to hear it. I stop. I turn the machine. I just hit pump off. I leave the pressure on there. I feel the hose. It gets hard. It gets hard. It gets hard. It's soft. I put the machine in reverse. I relieve the pressure. I bust the clamp off. The next clamp that's next to it. Shake it out. Hit it with a hammer. Shake it out. Put them back together. Put it back in forward. Let's go. So I always verify 0. If this thing's stuck at 5 and you take that clamp off, it'll be the last clamp you take off. It'll be around your neck permanently. So be mindful. He went out with me with the instance, and he used a shovel 12 feet away.
Thank God I used a shovel.
Yeah.
Because if it was my hand, my bare hand, it was my face that's going to end up filled with concrete.
Blinds you at best, at
So
best.
when you open the clamp,
there's 5,000 psi behind it.
Yeah.
So I relieve the pressure. I put it reverse, and that takes all the pressure off of it.
okay.
Boom. And now it's got 0 pressure. I see 0
all
pressure.
right.
Take the clamp off. Yep.
Yeah.
As long as you see 0, boom, you're good to go. Now the gauge, when it's running, you're never going to see the top gauge 0. You're never going to see this at 0. If you do, then you're in trouble. So you can still take a hose off when this is at 0. This is just on the switch over. That's all that operates. So as long as my bottom gauge is on 0, now if I'm working the machine, both of them got to be on 0. Yeah. If I'm working. So, see, you go about the run, off, start. Pretty simple. Hit the stop, it kills the whole machine. And it duplicates on the remote. You talk about the display module. Right here where it says off, that is the remote setting. Right? You're going to have your RPM. I think your battery. And remember that display at the bottom where it's telling you to check everything, that's on your daily inspection. Once it goes through those spots, it falls off. You won't see that. Only the first time you start. The alternator is that. Yeah, it's on the front of the boat. And that gives you how much you're putting out right now. 13, 2, 5, and then the prompts are the same way. So if I go down, so you're on page 1, the home screen, page 1. I go down, you go to page 2, and then it shows you, DCF off, the flow control's off, because the pump's not running. When you have the pump on, you'll actually see that turn on and both of them are turned on. Page 2 gives your hours, your unit, and any fault codes that you have. 3 is your stroke count, and I can clear this by hitting set and reset, and it's clear. That's how many times the system moves back and forth in the counter. So at 10 yards, you can look at the screen, okay, I did 10,000 strokes at 10 yards. Well then, if I'm pumping along, and the guy goes, hey, how much time we got left? You put down here, I got 9,000 strokes. Well, hell, I know I got 9 yards to do. You got 1 more yard left. Okay. So that's where it's useful. Next one is the main or the proximity switch. Right now, they're both off because the pump's not running. It'll say off, one will say off, one will say on, off, off, off. The solenoid, the fuel solenoid, you can actually turn this off and stop the engine if you want. It's a test. If I want to run it and check the compression on the engine, I can turn the fuel solenoid off so it won't run. And then it goes back to your home screen.
No, that's 7.
Oh, okay, throttle off and stroke. Stroke counter itself. And then 8 is your fuel test. 9 is no radio. So if I put it in radio, I put it over the remote. Communicating. So that you know that it's set. You can actually, if I want to put a new one on these, I lost it and run over, I would set it up this way. You can reset it, and you can run this way. And you're back to 1 again. And then on meaning the radio is on. So those are those 3, and then you got volume, which is on the flow control, up or down, and you have flow here, which is the same thing as volume. Direction, forward and out, or reverse, going in. Automatic, and you got jog. We'll go over what jog is. And then you got local. Right. Yeah. And the engine goes down. When I put it in local, the engine revs up, it starts to go ready. Jog. So a jog function is the piston manual.
Attention to whatever he's going to teach you, because I'm out of time right here. 0.
So there's a couple applications that